Hey everybody, thank you for joining me. Paul Sterling here. I am the author of Argue Less, Love More, and I love what I do. I love two main areas that I focus on. One is helping work with couples that still love each other, but their relationship they're struggling in their relationship and they want to bring back that loving feeling. And the second area that I focus on is to help people that are single go from single to relationship ready. And sometimes that's not a big challenge. They've been dating regularly and they just want to tune some things up. And sometimes I work with somebody that hasn't gone on a date in 20 or 30 years. They were happily married and they lost their lover through either divorce or through death. And now they're back in the dating field again and need to figure this whole thing out. And dating has changed. So if you dive in, by the way, this is my disclaimer. Some of the slides are going to be in mixed up order. I literally got it done 3 minutes before this thing came on. I rearranged everything. And so, because I always want it to be fresh and alive for you and for me. So here we go. We're going to dive in. I'd love to hear comments as we go along. And most of the comments I can read here on the screen. Some of them I have to go in because this goes out on so many different pages. I may have to get it later. So what I'd love to first hear is, where are you watching from? Where in the world are you? I am in Napa Valley, California, near Harbin Hot Springs. And if you've never been to Harbin, that'd be a great date place to take somebody, depending upon who they are. And we're going to dive into a little bit about that in a minute. You know, what are the things you want on your first date? But before we go there, I've got a couple other things to cover. So let's dive in here, and I'm looking at your comments. So thank you for checking in here. So here's the deal. We get this right. We learn from the past. We know what we want and what we don't want, what we want to attract and what we want to repel. So when we're doing something out there on the internet, if we're doing internet dating, we know exactly what we want to attract, what we want to repel, and build it right into the profile. The next thing we do is we learn how to become super attractive. And I want to be careful in saying this, that there is, to me, a difference between beauty or handsomeness and attractivity. And I'm not going to talk about beauty and handsomeness here. I'm going to talk about how to become more attractive and how to attract what you want. So I have probably, well, let me put it this way. You may laugh at me after this one. When I was younger, I was a commercial fisherman in Alaska, and I was in excellent shape. I mean, I looked really handsome, but I didn't feel very attractive. And so we're going to talk about the difference between beauty or handsomeness and attraction, and what you can do to become more attractive to the people you want. So hi, Kelly. Hi, Simone. And yes, I am live and you are not sleeping. So great, from Germany here. Ah, cool. All right. Well, here's the next part. You get it wrong, and what happens? You end up making the same mistakes over and over again. That can be attracting the wrong person, ending up in a codependent relationship, spiraling downward. You can attract, well, there you go, attract the wrong people, or you can put out your profile and attract crickets. Now that's a Vermont expression, you know, when you say something and all you hear back is crickets, nobody's responding. And that's really tough on our self-esteem and ego. We put our profile out, we're vulnerable, and nothing happens. Or we end up settling or even giving up on love. And I talked to a person one time, I was talking to a government worker for FEMA, and she asked what I did. And I said, I'm a relationship and intimacy coach. And she started laughing. And it was awkward because I didn't understand what was going on for her. Turns out that she had her heart broken and hadn't gone out on a date in 25 years. 25 years. I'll say that one more time. She hadn't gone out on a date in 25 years. That's what happens when we get it wrong. When we're in a relationship with the wrong person, we get our heart broken. So that's the challenge right there. And what people want is they want dating to feel like this, you know, happy, easy, playful. And for some people, it feels more like this. It feels like you're dropping off into the abyss, into, you know, some dark unknown place. So what I'm going to be doing in a minute is asking where you are and when was the last time you were out on a date. Has it been a month, 5 months, a year, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years or more? Where are you now? When was the last time you went on a date? I'd love it if you feel comfortable in sharing. And by the way, if you end up with questions for me and you don't want to put them in the comments thing, you can always send me a private message and I will gladly answer that. So how long has it been since you've been dating? And I'm guessing most of the people on here are single, although a lot of my clients are obviously not single since I work with couples. And this would be good for either of you because the more that you treat your lover and partner like they're a date, the better things are going to be. So right now, things have changed in the world of relationships and in the world of dating. You know, it wasn't that long ago that there was a TV show that said, Father Knows Best. Now, that has totally transformed. Now it might be Mother Knows Best, We Know Best. There's a whole new world out there. There are new responsibilities, rules, roles, rewards, reasons for going on a date, results that you want, expectations. Now, somebody just said, a real date? Never been on a real date. Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that. That's sad. It's another person said it's been over 3 years since she's been on a date. And a date is an opportunity to celebrate and be celebrated. You know, a date can be Harbin Hot Springs. It's creating a magical moment. One of the things I took an ex out, so I'll just tell you, my background wasn't perfect. I had relationship, repellent. My older brother was great at relationships. I did not. I was not that guy. But I have learned, it's a skill we can learn. That's why, you know, I'm rooting for you. Skill we can learn. So here is a great date. Is you make a magical moment. And what I did is I rented a skating rink. My former fiance, when she was growing up, she wanted to skate. And so I rented a skating rink in the middle of the day, so it didn't cost that much, ice skating rink. And I didn't tell her. I blindfolded her, dressed her in a skating outfit that I had bought for her, got her to the skating rink blindfolded. You know, it must have looked really odd driving me across or driving her across town like that. Got her in there, got skates on her, and by that time, even blindfolded, she obviously knew what it was. And I'd hired a DJ, and so, and there was balloons and the whole thing. But it's like, how do you create those magical moments, and how do you create dates? It could be little ones, it could go for a hike, whatever, or it can be a big one. And now Kelly's saying, I celebrate me, myself, take myself out on a date. That's a great idea too, because it's all about waking that energy up. So let's take a look here. This is what we're going to go through. Now, if my handwriting was better, I would have written it all out. You see, this is my handwriting. There you go. It's not that bad, but we're going to go through it all. So the three main areas that we're going to try to focus on is availability. Are you available? And are you picking people that are available? Are you attractive? Are you able to attract what you want and repel what you don't want? And are you active? So a lot of people available, they're stuck. They haven't healed the past. They're not available. They're not physically, emotionally, mentally available. So one of my teachers, mentors, Carolyn Mays, once said, we all get wounded, but your choice is you either get bitter or you get better. You get bigger and move into it, or you get bitter and get smaller. And I'll give you a quick example. And this one is really important. That's why I start there, because if you're not available, you might be on a dating site, but your picture is going to show at some levels whether you're available or not. Is there a sparkle in your eyes? Is there a smile? I've looked at some dating sites, and I've looked at somebody, you know, that, and I actually reached out to her because I was really confused. Her profile picture looked like she was going to a funeral, and not even a really sad funeral. It was surprising. Who is she going to attract there? So are you available? And are the people you picking available? Are you attractive or not attractive? So here's the deal. It's going to be an interesting metaphor. I went over the handlebars of my mountain bike and broke this hand. I broke the fourth metacarpal. Luckily, I broke most of the fall with my face, my glasses, but broke my hand in the process. Now, I had this splint that they formed at the hospital to my hand, and I used that splint for about 2 months. Now, here's the thing, and I want you to participate. Type in the answer to this. For 2 months, the splint was really helpful because it protected me. But if I kept the splint on for 2 years, what would it have done to my muscles? So this is an important question. And yes, I want you to interact, because that interactivity makes it fun for me. It's not a one-sided conversation. So what happens to your muscles if you keep the splint on for 2 years rather than 2 months? All right. And I'm going to give you a hint. Well, hell, I'm going to give you the answer. Your muscles start to atrophy, and your hand, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Charlotte. And they start to atrophy, and Kelly said, you can't move. That's all of this true. And it's the same thing with your heart. Almost everybody on this call has had their heart broken at least once. I mean, love is one of the most courageous things we ever do. I'm going to say that again. Love and allowing ourselves to love somebody and to be loved is one of the most courageous things you will ever do. And there's no safe answer. Like, if you're waiting for the perfect safe answer, you're not going to get it. There's a quote I love that said, ships are safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for. So your heart, if it's been broken, yeah, there's a time to heal it, whether it's 2 months or 6 months, even a year. But after that, it's time to get back in the game and become available, become physically available, emotionally available, mentally available. You clear up the past and you get present, and you're able to be present with somebody. And this is part of the whole dating process, is to heal the past and get back in and start learning about what you want and don't want, and start creating possibilities for the future. If this is making sense, just a quick comment, makes sense to me so far. So number one, we're focusing on availability. And I'm going to start a course probably in September. So if people are really excited about this stuff and want more and want somebody to walk them through the process, let me know. You can message me or put a comment in there. I want more info on the workshop. It will be over the internet. All right, so here we go. Availability for both you and for them. The next one is attraction. Are you attractive? And there are 3 different places you can be in the world of relationships. You can be the catch, the compromise, or the catastrophe. So let me see. I think I actually even have, yes. Are you the catch, the compromise, or the catastrophe? Now, what I want to be careful of is saying that it's the catch in Hollywood. The catch in Hollywood is like you're the best looking, you're the person with all the money, you're the quarterback or the cheerleader. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about as the catch is someone who they become better when they're around you, and you become better when you're around them. You see their magnificence and they see yours, and you bring the best out in each other. That's the catch. The compromise is, well, and I've been all 3 of these. By the way, I have no judgment. I've been the catch, I've been the compromise, and I've been the catastrophe. The compromise is, I want somebody else, but I'll settle for you because I don't want to be alone. And what happens is when you stop working on the relationship, stop trying to make the relationship better and better, stop doing stuff to make your partner feel alive and special, you start to become the compromise. And the catastrophe, well, I'll get more into that a little bit later, but the catastrophe is you don't bring the best out in somebody, you bring the worst out in them. And they need a year or 2 of therapy after the relationship is over, just to start dealing with all of the upsets and pains that have happened in there. So can you relate? Have you been, well, let me see. I'll ask it differently. Have you ever dated someone who was the catch or the compromise or the catastrophe? Which of those have you dated? And I've dated all 3 of those. I've been them and I've dated them. All right. Now the next one is, what do you want? So if you want to be attractive, you become the catch. And the catch is not the right makeup, the right breast size, the right car. It's who you are. Can you bring the best out in somebody? Are you a good listener? Do you know one of the 7 core relationship skills? And I'm going to talk about them in a minute. Can you communicate? Can you listen so that your partner feels heard, understood, and valued? Can you be fun for them? All right. Now, we're going to move on to something, and this is definitely, I want your participation in this one. Green flags, red flags. This is really helpful when you start out there, Charlotte, saying yes, yes, and yes. Yeah, I can relate to all 3 of those. I have been the compromise and the catastrophe, but I never felt like the catch. Oh, that is sad. Oh. Thank you for saying that, Simone, and thank you for being that incredibly vulnerable. And yeah, it's an important thing, at least once or twice in your lifetime, to feel like you're the catch. All right. And part of the way to feel like the catch is know what your red flags are and your green flags are, so that you're not trying to tell people, you're not trying to sell people something that you aren't. So it's like if you were pretending to be a Porsche and you're really a Volkswagen, it's important for people to know that, because if they buy the Porsche and then you show up as a Volkswagen, they're going to be disappointed. If they wanted a Volkswagen and you show up as a Volkswagen, they're going to be happy. You're going to be the catch. So when we start dating, it's really important to know what is our red flags and our green flags. This is important because we want to attract certain people and repel others. And I'll be politically incorrect, and I'll just tell you some of my red flags. They could be some of your green flags. So in politics, if you voted for Trump, I'm not your guy. I'm born and raised liberal. My parents were liberals. I've been protesting war and for the environment and all the rest of that for a long time. So if you wanted someone who voted for Trump, see, it's easy for me to say, I'm not your person and you're not mine. As far as money goes, is money a critical thing for you, or you don't care about it? Which of these is really important? Is what's happening with your career, your family, what's happening around alcohol. Now, see, when I look at dating sites and I look there and somebody's profile from page or the first picture, they're at a bar drinking, and the second picture they're drinking, and by the third picture they're drinking, boom, that's a red flag for me. I don't mind drinking, but I might drink a bottle of wine a year. My dad was an alcoholic. I'm probably in reaction to it. I don't want to be with someone where drinking is super important to them. So, and there's other people that don't want to be with someone who doesn't want at least a glass of wine every night. So where is it? These are just key areas when it comes to drugs, especially now that marijuana is legal in a lot of places. Or drugs, do you want somebody who smokes a little bit or not? You know, these are all critical. What about the environment? What about cigarettes? I used to smoke 30 some years ago, so I really am, it's like no smoking for me. Kids, do you want somebody with kids, without them? This is only a small list. Behavior, you can look like on the first date, you can decide whether or not, like how they treat the waiting staff. If you go out to a restaurant, how they treat somebody. If they're disrespectful to the waiter or waitress, is that a red flag for you? It is for me. So what you want to do, I'm not trying to tell you what the right red flags are or aren't. I'm telling you, pick them out. Decide in advance. Put it on your profile. And look at what's your vision and values, so that that's going to go all the way through. The pictures you choose for the profile should show your values. I like to kayak. I like to mountain bike. I like to camp and fish, be outdoors. Animals are really important to me, like wildlife. I stopped the other day to escort a rattlesnake across the road so it didn't get run over. That's how I was brought up, and that's important to me. If someone doesn't treat wildlife well, I would be a bad fit. The other issues that are up there that I didn't put on the list is like Black Lives Matter. Is that something that's important to you? And that should be on your list. And the other one is abortion, immigration. I know these are all hot topics, and it's important because it reflects your value system. Whether you're for it, against it, it's important to know. So let me know if this is making sense to you or not. So makes sense. Let's see, I have a spider outside. I've been chatted. So there's someone who cares about the environment. Yeah, and I, where at the last place I was living, we had a cat and a dog, and the cat would get lizards, and I would rescue the lizards. And then one day the cat got a hummingbird, and I rescued the hummingbird, and the poor thing was like all flustered, and I fed it sugar water, dropped it on its beak, and got it all charged back up, let it go. It flew away, flew back. Cat got it, made it. Me and the cat had a conversation. But anyway, I'm just telling you that's one of my values. So you want to look at what's your vision and values. And can you get that into your profile in your pictures? And what we're going to talk about in a second is icebreakers. So that when you start breaking the ice, you're asking questions that are going to reveal somebody's vision and values and telling you either red flags or green flags. So here we go. This is an overgeneralization. 3 reasons to be in a relationship. Now, I know there's a lot more. I go through them when I'm teaching relationship skills, but this is an important distinction. So when you're picking somebody out, it's good to know this. So what one of my mentors, Allison Armstrong, said, you're not trying to change people. This is a process of selection, of attraction. How did she say it? You're not trying to change people. You're trying to find the people, select the ones that are matched. Now, I didn't say it nearly as elegant as Allison did, but here you go. There are 3 big levels here. Number 1, survival. Now, this is less important than it used to be, but there are our grandparents or great-grandparents was like, once they got married, that was it. Till death do you part. Doesn't matter whether you even like each other anymore or hate each other, you're not getting a divorce. So the relationship is more important than you are. So you want to know when you're getting in a relationship, what are they thinking about, how long this is going to last, and what caused them to get out of their last relationship. The next one up is about comfort. Now, there's nothing wrong with comfort, but if you're in a relationship where someone's in it for comfort, they're probably not going to have those awkward, uncomfortable conversations. And see, if you think if truth and honesty is a high value of yours, then a lot of times those conversations are not going to be comfortable. So if somebody's value is really for comfort, they're going to have a very hard time getting outside their comfort zone and telling you the truth. So then that brings us up to the 3rd level, which is all about growth. Now, I was married once. I had married once, 4 broken engagements. So my ex, who we are still good friends more than 20 years later, she just not that long ago sent me pictures from when we were together in Alaska many years ago. And for her, going to Hawaii, it was great to go to Hawaii from Alaska and sit on the beach and read books. And I've got nothing against that, but that didn't hold a candle to the idea of going to Hawaii and studying with Tony Robbins. I ended up working for Tony years later, and he hired me to come teach his inner circle. And for a while, I was on his support staff, and I introduced Tony at the workshops. I'm 6'3" and kind of big, and I would introduce him, and he's bigger. And then years later, he hired me to come back, and he introduced me, and that was very cool. I knew that I had grown. So my ex, she was really in comfort was really important to her. And to me, growth. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. There are days I don't want to grow. There are days I want to be comfortable. I don't want to have the awkward conversation. See, and if you're looking at it, down here tends to be monogamy. And you can grow a lot in monogamy too. So up here, if people are more poly, more out there, There are many different relationship configurations, but you want to find out early on, is the person that you're interested in, if growth is critical to you, are they interested in growth? What workshops have they gone to? What books do they read? Who mentors them? You're trying to find out who they are. So what I'd love to do is hear from you, which one of these resonates with you most? Survival, comfort, growth. What kind of a relationship would you like to be? And don't say it because it sounds cool, like growth sounds cool and comfort doesn't. Nope. If you want comfort, set it up to win. First place, be honest with yourself. And second, be honest with your partner. Or if it's all about survival and you want to be taken care of, that's also okay. They're all okay. The important thing is letting yourself know which one you want. And Kelly's saying growth. And so thank you. And you can keep typing in. And by the way, at the end of this, there'll be a replay. So if you got a lot from this, or you think other people that you know will get a lot from this, definitely give them the replay. Now, part of what's going to happen where you really end up attracting somebody you love is to really understand yourself. Comfort to grow together. Oh, yeah, comfort to grow together. Those two may not go perfectly together, because if you're growing, growth is often uncomfortable. And we can come back to comfort periodically. And someone else is saying not poly, but growth. And you don't have to be poly to grow. You can grow in a monogamous relationship. It depends on the conversations you're having. So I want to ask you one more question about yourself, because if you're going to be attractive, it's important that you know yourself. So what kind of a dater are you? And there are three main types, and I know that I've oversimplified it. There is the dog, the cat, and the butterfly. And by the way, this dog was our family dog. That's my dad's dog. My dad's no longer with us, and Maggie, the dog, is no longer with us. But what I'm talking about, and I want to be careful when I say dog, I'm not talking derogatory, but it's like a dog. When I think about relationships, I'm like a dog. I'm like, let's go play, let's go. You leave for 10 minutes, come back, I'm like wagging my tail, want to go chase a stick, want to go do something together. Let's go do something together. Let's go mountain biking. I'm very enthusiastic. It's hard for me to get too much of the relationship. Now, so that there is the dog. The cat, which is obvious, I don't even have to write that out, which one's which. The cat is more elusive. Sometimes they want to be with you, sometimes they won't. Cats need a lot more alone time. Breathe in, breathe out. They want to be with you, they want to be away from you. And they want to be with you only when they want to be with you. So are you more of a dog? Are you more of a cat? Do you want a dog? Do you want a cat? Who do you want to attract in a relationship? And the last one is a butterfly. And dating a butterfly is an interesting experience. It's like what you need to do to date a butterfly is hold your hand out and let it come to you and land. And as soon as you try to ask for your needs to get met or create any sort of like commitments and obligation and security, all the rest, and the butterfly gone. Boop. But if you're okay with just periodically holding your hand out and letting it land whenever it wants to land, then you can date a butterfly. And if you need more than that, if you're a dog dating a butterfly, you may need to date 10 butterflies to have anywhere near a dating life, because they're here and then they're gone, and then they're here and gone. So which one resonates with you the most? Dog, cat, butterfly. Does this make sense? And I'm going to give you the next chunk here, because I'm wanting you to know yourself really well when you dive in here. So the next chunk of knowing yourself, and this is how you choose your dating strategies. Like, are you going to do online dating? Do you want a friend to set you up? What do you want to do? Are you someone who, and there's sort of this bell curve here so there's the shy, there's the bold, and there's between. Now, I used to be not only shy, I used to be super shy. And now there are days I'm actually super bold. And I'll tell you what that means. I was in Santa Cruz years ago, and I'm in the checkout line, and I'm 6'3", and I looked across. I think she was one or two checkout lines across from me. There's this woman there with red hair, and she's 6 foot tall and just striking. And I start up a conversation across like one or two lanes of checkout with her, and end up asking her out on a date before we've left the checkout line. Now that's super bold. Not everybody's going to do that. In fact, a lot of people aren't. That's why it's super bold. You can be super shy, and that means the other person's going to have to do most of the reaching out. And what you can do if you're shy or super shy, but you're attracted to somebody, rather than asking them out on a date, what you can do is go, if you ask me out on a date, I'd probably say yes. So you haven't actually officially asked, you don't get rejected, but you create an opening. So you can get anywhere in between, and you can look at what would be the first date. When on your dating profile, what would be a fun first date for you? And depending upon how shy you are or how bold you are, that would be the first date. If you went, I remember one date, my first date, we went kayaking on our first date, that was really, I was bold on her part, bold on my part, super bold. So which one are you? Are you shy? Are you bold? Or are you between the two? So if you could type that in, that would be awesome. And I'd love to hear, what have you gotten from what I've covered so far? We've gone in and talked about availability, emotionally, physically, mentally, clearing up the past, creating possibilities, then being attractive. Are you the catch, compromise, catastrophe? What it is you want? What are your red lights and green lights? What's been helpful so far? What are your values in your relationship? And I'm not going to dive into that too much right now, but that's so critical. It's worth taking the time and energy to kind of lay that out. Now we're going to get down to active, because you might be stuck in a rut right now, because a lot of people are. I talked to a friend the other day, and I said, what's it going to take for you to be dating again? Because she's part of my mastermind group, and I know she hadn't dated in a while. And it was like, there was a list of 4 or 5 things. It was sort of like the stars had to be aligned. When I get this done, this done, this done. It's like, if you don't want to date, any excuse will do. If you do want to date, it's time to take action. And part of what is super important is having fun, easy icebreakers. And I also call those, door openers. And what that is, I've done a lot of public speaking. And in the world of public speaking, there's a lot of fear, especially for newbies, beginners at public speaking. But if they can get their first 1 minute to 5 minutes and feel confident, once they're up there on the stage, and if they've got a good 5 minutes or even a good 1 minute, they're up there, they get set and they're going for it. So I'm going to give you some ideas for what I do. If you've become a friend of mine on Facebook, I probably asked you these questions. These are my door opening questions. And I can do this in a conversation, on a text, the whole thing. But what I do is go, can I ask you a question? What wakes you up early? What keeps you up late? What does that question do? That question tells me what's important to them. What are their values? What wakes you up early? What keeps you up late? Another question I ask is, what opens your heart? What breaks your heart? What opens your heart? What breaks your heart? You ask those questions, you're going to start to know somebody versus like, what'd you do this morning? How's the weather? You know, you can ask those questions to be comfortable, but those questions don't give you useful information. If you're thinking of dating somebody, you want useful information. You want to know what are their values? What's their vision? What's their purpose for a relationship? What happened in your last relationship? What did you learn from it? That's another really powerful question that you can ask. And are they a victim of their last relationship? Do they blame the ending totally on their ex-partner? If they do, you might be next in line for that. If they take some ownership and go, you know, I really screwed up that one. And I can look at every relationship that I've ever been in, and I can find some places where even as a relationship coach, I have been coaching couples for 25 years, more than 25 years. And you know what? Still screw up. So if these are working for you, which question do you enjoy the most? Is it what wakes you up early? What keeps you up late? What opens your heart? What breaks your heart? Oh, the other one is, what do you want to be remembered for? What difference do you want to make on this planet? What do you want to be remembered for? These are all questions that kind of give you insights into this other human being. All right. I'm going to take a breather here. And guess what time it is? It is time to wake up. You're sexy. Because what I want you to be able to do is flirt and seduce. And flirt is attention without intention. So you're flirting, you're alive, you're interacting, you're letting the sparkle show. Seduction doesn't necessarily mean you're going to sleep with somebody. Seduction means it's attention with intention. It's intention to be asked out on a date, to be asked to take it to the next level, to do whatever it is, to go for a walk, hold my hand. And the more alive you are, because some people, what they do is they wait. I'm going to wait until I'm in a relationship before I turn on my sexy. And I go, no, turn on your sexy, because who you attract, if you're basically vibrating at a very low frequency, you're going to attract people at a low frequency. You vibrate at a high frequency, you're going to attract people at a high frequency. So what we want to do is help you wake up your sexy. And part of that can be, what do you do that makes you feel alive? So I'd love to hear from some people. What do you do that makes you feel alive? Now, for me, some things that make me feel alive: mountain biking, whitewater kayaking, contact improv dancing, teaching like this. I love to do this. This is my mix of great fear and great joy, because I hate making mistakes. And my spelling is, I'm dyslexic, ADD, so I make tons of mistakes. So anyway, what wakes up your sexy? It can be yoga. It can be all of those things. So what wakes it up? What keeps you, what gets you going? What makes you feel alive? So let's see, what else do we have here? I just want to make sure I have covered most everything. Huh. Oh, yes. A quick thing. When you do go out on a date, now what I'd love to do is what we'll do in the course is you'll have practice flirting. And what will happen is we'll do Zoom dates where you have a Zoom date with one of the other participants where you know it's not planned to go anywhere, but you can practice your flirting. You can just ask them flirtatious questions. You can practice it. And that's a great way to kind of get comfortable doing it again, especially if you haven't been dating for years. And I literally have had people tell me they haven't dated in 25 years. So some of you are on this call because you want to find the love of your life. And some of you had the love of your life and you lost them. A lot of that is through cancer or some disease or some challenge there. So it's like so challenging and scary to jump back in again. And I admire how brave you are. Now, at one point, so I'm going to give you this other hint about dating. I was on a date once, this was many years ago, and at the end of the date, I had driven 45 minutes to see them, and I was leaving, and I didn't kiss them goodnight. And I spent the 45-minute drive home going, should I have, shouldn't I have? And I realized about 3/4 of the way through the drive, oh my God, I'm an adult. I could have asked. I'd like to kiss you. Would you like to be kissed? And you can do that both ways. One is you can be the bold one asking, going, I'd like to kiss you. Would you like to be kissed? Or you could be a little shyer and go, I'd like you to kiss me. Would you like to kiss me? That is so sweet and sexy and amazing. And I'd like to hold your hand. Would you like me to hold your hand? It's interesting to be able to ask for what you want and create an opening. I'd love to go out on a date with you if you'd like to ask me out on a date. So it's like you start looking at introducing those little things and start taking action. Now, one other thing about taking action is it's really important to get clear what are your values, because the dating site, if you're going to use a dating site, which probably most of you will, it's good to pick one that matches your values. And there's all the way from like Christian singles and Christian farmers and to the other end, which is adult friend finder or something like that, which is, and I have checked all these sites out, and I actually saw somebody on adult friend finder and I said, what are you looking for in a relationship? And she said, I'm looking for a serious, long-term committed relationship. And I wanted to go, did you look at this website? Do you look around? This is not the dating website for people who are looking for that. Go find a different one. And there's other ones that are like Meet Mindful is sort of in the middle of the road, more liberal, more like environmental issues, that Meet Mindful group. So then there's Harmony and Match.com and Plenty of Fish. There's Tinder. So there's a whole list of them, and look at what values that you match. And the thing is, the easier it is to sign up for, probably the less committed people are going to be. Like I've seen on Tinder, they put a couple of pictures, no bio, no nothing. It's just like, if you don't get it from my face, I'm not willing to invest anything more than that. I'm going like, wow, that's such a low investment. I'm not interested. So what I'd love to do is hear, what did you get? What was one thing you got from today that you can go and apply and that might make a difference for you? What is one thing that you got? And I'd love for you to share that. and let us all know. And I am going to go all the way to the end here. So while I'm waiting for your answers, the question here is, it's decision time. What's your next step? And I would like people to know there are three options. There is the do nothing. I'm waiting for this pandemic to end and everything else to end and things to go back to normal. Well, I think we've got a new normal. I don't think that they're going to go back to normal. So you can ignore and hope and pray that somebody lands in your living room out of nowhere, that you don't take any action and they just discover you. That is probably not going to happen. The next thing is you can figure it out yourself. And that's sort of, I call it the John Wayne approach. I'm going to do it myself. And that's okay. But I would really recommend, even if it's just friends, have somebody check out your profile site with you and give you some feedback. Are you sending the message you really want to send? Because those first pictures send a huge message. If you're in front of a fast car, you're sending the message that money is important to me and speed is important to me and cars are important to me. If you're at a bar, you're sending a message that it's alcohol. So wherever it is, make sure that that first picture is sending the message you really want to send. And so you can do it yourself, or you can cut years off of it or months and get a mentor. Have somebody that walks you through and get available, heal the hurts, transform it so you can be present and create possibilities for the future. And then learn how to become more attractive so that you can attract the person you want and become the catch. So what Tony Robbins talked about many times is, how do you turn decades into days? You do that by finding a mentor and following the mentor. If it's somebody like me, if I'm that kind of mentor that you want, and I'm sort of like, I'm a mix between gentle and kick-ass. And if that works for you, great. If it doesn't, then I'm probably not the person for you. And if you think I might be, what we'll do is we'll have a 15-minute conversation and talk about where are you now, where you want to go, what's in the way, and what would it be like to work with me, and what would it be like to work with you? Because we're checking each other out to make sure if and how I can help you and if it's a fit. Because if it's not a fit, I don't want to work with you. I'd rather go mountain biking. So at the end here, there are three things you can do. Number one, join my Facebook group. It's the Courageous Love Show Facebook group. And you get all the notifications, and there's all the past programs. I think there's 130 videos now in there, all about relationship issues. Number two, you can schedule that appointment for a breakthrough, and we'll talk about that. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. And number three, if you want to get a free copy of my book, Argue Less, Love More, and if you're gonna become a catch, this is one of the ways of becoming a catch, by being a great listener. Now, next step is you go to arguelesslovemore.com, arguelesslovemore.com/message. And that will take you right into my Facebook Messenger. And from there, you can say, I want an appointment, or I want to know how to join your Facebook group, or I want a copy of your free book. Now, the book, if you go to Amazon right now, it's an Amazon bestseller in 5 different categories. It was #1 for a while. And it's $19.97. If you send me a message, I'll send you a link that you can get it as my gift. Now, it's a PDF that you get as my gift. So, all right, thank you so much. I totally appreciate it. I do these calls almost every Thursday and Sunday. And I would love for you to send me any comments on what you got from today. Was it helpful? Was there anything that you got from it? That is your gift back to me should you decide to be that generous. All right. Thank you so much for your time and energy. We will talk to you next Thursday. Ciao.